Hello and welcome to another episode of Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils. In a nutshell, Homeland. Yeah, a new episode of Homeland? No, not, of course not. It's again Cyrils Brettspiele, and this time from Gale Force 9, the game Homeland. Yeah, what is in the box? What is the game Homeland all about? Let's take a look. There's a huge game board in it, bunch of tokens, agendas, and here we come to a very interesting, by the way, this is a first player token, a gigantic first player token. Agendas, we come to that in a second. Up to 6 players for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors. These terrorist tokens, no, these are not terrorist tokens, this is a terrorist token. These tokens for the terrorists, these tokens for the good guys. So we have so-called intel cards in blue, good one, red, a bad one, and yellow ones. We have so-called asset cards. People, they can help you out during the game. We have plot cards. We have organization cards with this edges here. We have agents here, little plastic miniature agents and soldiers. We have a threat analysis player mat board, and we have helper cards here, 6 for each player, 1. So, but let's get back to the agenda cards. Depending on the number of players, you take a couple of these cards. Most of them are loyal agents. So, but 2 of them could be political opportunists, and 1 could be a terrorist mole. So whatever the number of players is, you add an additional card. Let's say we are playing with all of the 6 players, then you give all of the 7 cards a good shuffle here and deal out one of these agendas randomly and secretly to one of these persons. Whoever is a loyal agent, he is working in the agency and trying to make sure the terrorists will not win the game. If you are a political opportunist, you are also wanted to make sure that the terrorists will not win the game. However, each single crisis make the political establishment a little bit more powerful to gain more laws against terrorism. So, and you get more influence to make some new laws and things like that. So the political opportunist is interested in having a couple of terrorism acts over the course of the game, but obviously not too much. So they will push the terrorists a little bit, and whoever is the terrorist mole, this one here, he wins in 2 ways. Way 1 would be just simply the terrorist will win the game, then he is a perfect trader and win the game. The other one could be, and now we are coming to the winning conditions, or let's say better losing conditions. If the terrorist track, this track here, gets up to the number 12 over there, then immediately every loyal agent and every political opportunist loses the game. If there's a terrorist mole in the game, he immediately wins. However, it could happen that there's no terrorist mole in it, that these secret identities are in the game, then everybody is losing the game. If the terrorist track goes not up to the top, then obviously the good guys, the agency track goes up to the top, and then each of these could win the game. The loyal agents win the game, whoever has the most of these tokens here. This token is worth 1 victory point, and assets could be worth victory points as well. There's one more way to get victory points, that's in a second. So the political opportunist gets victory points from these tokens here and also from his asset cards. And the terrorist mole, he gets victory points for each of these tokens here on the track. So he could win as well. At the end of the game, when the good guys win the game, then it's super easy. Everybody has 1 vote, and he can vote who is a terrorist mole. If you get the right terrorist mode, you get an additional victory points. If you guess wrong, you get minus victory points. Tally up the victory points and you will see who is winning the game. Whenever the good guys win and the terrorist mode is at least suspected by one of the other players, then he's out and he cannot win the game at all. But again, he has two chances to win the game. One is this track is filled up. The other one is just by hiding his secret identity. So as you can see, it's a game of secret identities and acting like a secret guy. And of course of suspicions, acting, suspicion moves and all of that stuff. What you are doing is you start the game with a terrorist turn. A terrorist turn is super easy. First of all, move the terrorist marker. The terrorist marker is this guy, the big guy here, this guy here, and whoever gets this marker is the first player in the next round. So simply just move the first player token. There's an interesting rule for how it works, but not in this video here. Then analyze imminent threats. You have the threats here. These threat level is low, guarded, elevated, severe, or imminent. So whenever you have imminent threats over here, you have to resolve it right now. A threat is in this game always built of a secret plot card, a face-up organization card, and a couple of intel cards. They are coming into the game during the game and into this thread here, and also coming into the game while the players are playing cards, this case lead cards here. So this is always a threat. When one of these threats is in this slots over here, imminent, then during the terrorist phase, during the terrorist turn, you take one of these from the imminent threats here and bring it down here. What you're doing is you bring your case lead guy over here, then you flip over this plot card, so, and bring this card, it's one hand, it's not super easy, so you build it like this. Now you know the threat of this crisis here is 10. You have an impact of 2, I explain it in a second, and you have a bunch of these intel cards. These intel cards could be either red, then it counts on this side, or blue. So let's assume it's like this. Now you have a total number of 5, 9 against 12. Would it be more in there? 11, 15. So in this case, blue would win. Yellow cards are always doing what is the text on it. It's like event cards. Let's assume these cards are not in the game. Then you have 13 to 11. Maybe there are some agents assigned to this, then each single agent is worth 1. On a tie, easily the plot have a success, and that means the threat level here, the impact level of 2, goes up to here on the evil side. However, if you win, the good guys get an impact of 2. There's also an advantage for the case leader. In this case, draw an asset card, or a fallout when it is not successful, then either a fallout just to the case leader or a global fallout for everybody. A punishment when you lose the threat, bonus when you win the threat. You do that with all the imminent threats up there. After you resolved all the imminent threats over here, you simply push every threat one level up and make it ready for the next round. So what you're doing on top of that, and that's the last step of the terrorist turn, is you draw exactly and create new plots, new organizations like this, and put a new threat out in the level which is shown on the card. Here this says guarded, so you bring in this in the guarded in the first open spot. You don't take a case leader on it, that will happen during the turn of the player. Let's do 2 more here just to show it. Another guarded here, and this one is another low here. So you bring in this cases, this new plots like this here. Then, starting with a starting player, every player takes a turn, and this is easy as it is. So first of all, and when it's your turn, let's say purple's turn, you have to claim one of these unclaimed cases. So I can pick this or that case as my next case. I simply put a card on it. Then I have to take 2 of my intel cards, so I have a bunch of my intel cards on my hand, and put it to cases on the board. So let's say I have these 3 cards on my hand. So I must take a card. If I'm a good cop, I would take probably this good card here and bring it into this case. I must pick a case from a different agent first. Then I have to play another case, another intel card into a second case. So in this time I only have bad intel cards. However, I must play another one, and I can pick any case, including my own cases, but I don't want to, so I put it in here. So nobody knows that I throw a red card in it, because that's all secret. However, even if I'm a good guy, I had no other choice of picking a bad card. These are the 2 steps I have to make. I cannot say, I don't want to put in red cards. Then I have a couple of optional actions, free actions available. I can trade in 1 card for this symbol here. In this case, I get a token of this symbol here, in this case of this symbol. Sometimes even in this case here I get 2 of these tokens here. I simply take 2 of the tokens and take it to me. Another one could be recruit an asset. Recruiting an asset is easy. Cash in 3 tokens and get an asset card for it. If you don't want to, or you cannot afford an asset card, you can take instead of a soldier or an agent for free. But you can do only once. Take 1 of these for free or buy it for 3 tokens. Whatever you are doing, you can also add some more actions. One will deploy your soldiers. When you deploy a soldier to a plot card here, and as a benefit you can take a look at all of the intel cards here. So now you know exactly, this is an impact of 3, maybe a mediocre red value here, and that's interesting, there are 4 red cards in it and only 2 blues. Maybe a player who played the card in this stack during the last turns is a traitor, maybe, you never know. Keep in mind, this is obviously secret. After you did that, you take 1 of these intel cards from the secret draw pile and put it on top of it without looking at it. So you don't know exactly what is in there. Of course, you can deploy as many as you want, but it doesn't make any sense to deploy more than 2 in a row. Instead of or on top of it, you can also deploy agents. You can deploy 1 here, you can deploy 1 here, or any other combination. For the benefit for deploying an agent is you can take a look at the secret plot card. The complexity is 6, so the red is added by 6, and the impact is 3. So that's maybe loose here. So you can do and deploy that in any order you want. Keep in mind, every agent attached there is worth 1 for the good side at the end of the game. There's one more thing. Whenever there are 2 soldiers here, this plot is ready for a strike. A couple of these asset cards have this drone strike symbols. When there are ever 2 of the soldiers, you just simply take a drone strike and drill that out. You can do that at any time if you want. What you also can do is, and this is the last what you can do, is activate or utilize an asset. When you buy these assets cards, you get them secretly on your hand. You know exactly what it is, but it's secret. So you can put it in front of you secretly, then it's still not in play. When you activate it, you flip it over, everybody knows exactly what he should do. Now he's working actively for you, and utilize means just take the ability shown on the card. Some of them gives you a hand size of +1, some others give you other abilities, whatever shown on the card. At the end of your turn, you just simply redraw up intel cards up to 3 on your hand. That's your hand size limit, except for you have these cards. When you have 2 of them, your hand size limit is 5, and you have better choices and sending out cards, intel cards, into the cases. After every player has his turn, simply just after all the player turns finished, flip over this card and go back to the terrorist turn. Resolve the imminent threats again and go from there. Again, whenever this line is filled up or whenever this line is filled up, the game is over. These lines are just filled up by the impact here. In this case, impact 3. It's this one. But keep in mind, some of them showing an impact of 3, but when you flip the plot over, it's simply a 0 impact. So it's supposed to be a really big thing, but it's a fake. All of that could happen in Homeland, and now let's flip back to my personal experience with Homeland, and I wanted to give you, as always in a nutshell, my personal experiences with it. What is Homeland? Homeland is, first of all, a TV series, a very popular TV series. Honestly, I've never watched a single episode of that, but as far as I know, it's you can never trust even a single person in the series. It's a series very close to Battlestar Galactica, and here is exactly the same game mechanic like in Battlestar Galactica. You have determined by these agenda cards a couple of traitors in it, maybe a really bad traitor, at least a couple of political opportunists in here, and you always being and acting suspicious, or try to not being suspicious, but you are always, and everybody is suspecting you. Hey, did you throw in the red card? Is that really correct? So when you deploy a soldier, you can see the cards, and this is what the meta game is all around this game. So who is really the traitor? Who is really the terrorist mole? Keep in mind, you have to vote and try to kill the terrorist mole at the end of the game. So it's always finding coalitions and breaking coalitions and acting suspicious. So whenever you have played Battlestar Galactica, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You are looking for the toasters. In Homeland, you're always looking for the person who's working at the agency, but working on his own account and trying to, at least making some political influence. So, and you try to identify these as a team, but at the end of the day, it's not a team game. It's whoever gets the most victory points. So even if you're playing as a team, you're always playing for yourself. And this is what Homeland is all about. It's really strange. It's a really good feeling. If you have ever played Battlestar Galactica, again, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The difference between Homeland and Battlestar Galactica is this is simply shorter. This is 90 minutes and not a 3-hour game of Battlestar Galactica. This is a streamlined version. All the mechanics works really well, really streamlined. Once you get in there, it's super easy. You can play it fast and without any downtime. Everybody is involved, but it has exactly the same feeling you want it to. When I got my hands on Homeland, the game, I thought, okay, another TV series game. So, you know, games from TV series or movies are usually not good at it. They should be. So I was always disappointed by a lot of games from movies or things like that. But Gale Force 9 is very well known for licensed game. They made Firefly really good, they made Sons of Anarchy really good, and they made WWE Wrestling. All of them are pretty solid, pretty good, so Gale Force 9 knows exactly how to transfer the feeling of this theme, Homeland, this suspicious, you cannot trust your even your family members, and bring that into the game. So what they are doing is they are picking up a license and bring that into the exact game that should be. So whenever you see Gale Force 9, you should definitely, instead of just bringing the box back into the shelf and thinking, okay, I really like Homeland, but no, put it back on the shelf. No, take a closer look. Usually the games from Gale Force 9 are really good. And I have to say, even if I don't know the series, it's a pretty good game. It's really good. I really like it. I have to admit, I really like Battlestar Galactica as well. But Gale Force 9 transferred Battlestar Galactica in a shorter game and with TV series. Honestly, during the game you never think about this series, so there's nothing attached to the series except for art. So on the card there's some pictures out of the movies, but if you have never watched the movies or the series, you don't need that. So the game is self-explained, but even if you watch the series, you don't see any connection. So there's no, oh, this character is from that, he must be good or bad. No, that's not involved in the game, but the feeling, the threat of this, hey, who is it? That's good. Thanks for watching. Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils. We took a closer look to Homeland, the game, Gale Force 9, and see you next time. Bye bye.